Caitlin Clark's All-Star voting sparks outrage after former WNBA star calls result insulting. Caitlin Clark's place in the 2026 WNBA All-Star Game was never really in doubt. The Indiana Fever superstar earned a starting spot thanks to overwhelming support from fans and strong backing from media members. What has people talking, though, is how Clark was viewed by her fellow players. Despite ranking among the league leaders in scoring and assists, Clark finished just 11th among guards and player voting for the All-Star Game. The surprising result has sparked another round of debate about how the Fever star is perceived around the WNBA, with former All-Star Stacey Dales becoming one of the latest voices to criticize the outcome. Stacey Dales rips Caitlin Clark's player voting result. Speaking on ESPN's First Take, former WNBA guard Stacey Dales didn't hold back when discussing Clark's placement in the player vote. "You see 11th with Caitlin Clark, and it is insulting," Dale said. "It is preposterous to consider she would be even deemed worthy of or unworthy of being in a conversation with the 11th best guard in the WNBA. And frankly, to further the discourse, to consider the fact that some believe that she's not even worthy of being in the top 4 or being a starter amongst these all-star players is, to me, foolishness." Clark ultimately secured a starting spot after finishing second among fans and third in media voting, but the player vote stood in stark contrast. The Fever guard has backed up her All-Star selection with another standout campaign. Through 16 games, Clark is averaging 20.5 points, 4.0 rebounds, and 7.9 assists per game, while ranking 5th in the WNBA in scoring and second in assists. Those numbers made her player vote finish even more difficult for Dales to understand. Former All-Star praises Clark's impact. Dales questioned whether some players are fully appreciating what Clark brings to the floor every night. Caitlin Clark is exceptional. She is extraordinary. She is elite. She is incredibly difficult to defend. She plays on extraordinary angles, both with and without the basketball. Dales said. The former WNBA All-Star acknowledged there is some context behind the voting. According to Dales, only 85 players submitted ballots out of roughly 180 players across the league, meaning the results don't necessarily reflect the opinions of every player. Still, she believes Clark's finish outside the top 10 among guards doesn't align with her production or influence on the court. Candace Parker also questions the voting. Dales isn't the only former WNBA star to voice frustration. Hall of Famer Candace Parker recently criticized the player vote on her podcast, suggesting Clark's ranking had more to do with personal feelings than basketball. "I think people need to look at themselves in the mirror and realize, man, you got some insecurities," Parker said. "If you're sitting down and putting in Caitlin Clark as the 11th best guard, y'all need to go to the therapist and figure out what childhood issues you have." Parker's comments quickly gained traction online and added fuel to an ongoing discussion that has followed Clark since she entered the WNBA. While opinions remain divided about what influenced the player vote, there's little debate about the final result that matters most. Clark will once again take the floor as an all-star starter, and based on her production this season, she'll have another opportunity to showcase why many consider her one of the league's premier guards on one of the WNBA's biggest stages.